I'd like to apologize in advance. I'm not a good speaker. I've got very little experience on rhetorics, but let's tell us why you started thinking about IPv6. We thought about this for a while. We've been thinking about this for quite some time. We tried to, together with Kashyks, we got together back in 2010. Basically, it took us a while to do this. We discussed it for quite some time. Some said it's really interesting. This is new protocol. This is the future. But this is where it stopped. We had a discussion and said this is really interesting. And then time lapsed. We had some experience. Some of our providers had different types of experience. They raised this on their upstream's IPv6 connections. They would raise IPv6 static one. Via IPv6, they could see something outside. So basically it worked, but the massive scale use giving IPv6 to customers, no one dared to do this. So what happened in your life that you decided, and then RIPE NCC came to us and delivered this training. Well, it always happens this way. It didn't happen on its own. Basically, this was the agreement of our management with RIPE NCC, some kind of cooperation arrangement, and this cooperation resulted in this presentation. What I would like to tell you about. Well, I'm not speaking on behalf of the whole country. Cannot say about the whole country because we're just one of the providers. With the national operator, well, no one's going to be hiding it. We have a bigger chunk of the market, but we're just one of them. So I'm going to be telling you about how we grew. But on the chart, you can notice that this particular growth you can see here. Well, the bottom curve, yellow and green, bottom curves IPv6 in Uzbekistan in general. The one is blue and red. This is IPv growth in our autonomous system. So you can basically notice that these blasts or outbreaks we had at the national level, all of these outbreaks, they specifically happened because we had growth in our autonomous system, not anywhere else. You can actually notice that there are 4 elements, but in fact we had like 3 of these events because I can distinguish them by, I can tell you the reasons why these happened. The growth started at the very beginning of 2024, basically from zero, from scratch. It started growing. And this particular rise, it took us a while to achieve this. Before we had those trainings. With Alex, we discussed. Well, we came up with some trust relationships. Well, with some of the RIPE NCC stuff, we thought some advice, we had discussions. So, well, we started preparing about a year before and started doing some testing. Turned out, how can we actually issue these IPv6 to our customers? let's start with the fact that some people talk about the migration to IPv6. We never thought about this. We specifically talked about the implementation of IPv6 because completely abolishing IPv4, we're not setting this particular goal. We have no thoughts like that. Just for comparison, what's been before, this was some general data which you can see in the internet. Any person can see this. This is our internal data. They indicate all the same, but here we can see this a bit more precisely because we don't have these fluctuations up and down. We have some clear steps forming here. These steps are very clear. You can see the beginning of change in August of 2024, the first event, and then in spring of this year, third event. What was it? Well, in the beginning of 2024, we activated, well, our billing, assigned all of our customers who we had at that point of time. Their profiles have been enriched with one specific attribute, IPv6 enabled. This first of all, we had to enhance this. It took about a year to enhance our billing system. The billing system itself, the radius, additional attributes, BNG parameters, everything had to be unified. This work took about a year. Basically, by the end of 2023, we were ready, but decided that we shouldn't launch this just on the Christmas Eve. We would better celebrate the new year first, and then. But at the end of 2023, we included IPv6 for a very small number of customers. Well, these were our colleagues, administrators. We tested this on our own skins, on our admins, just to see that everything works. If everything fails, we could postpone it. We saw everything worked, and at the beginning of January, we started creating the first step on the way of billing. This gave us very little yield. We thought we would have some kind of a better growth. But it turned out that this particular, the first step in our growth, well, at the beginning, that this is what we had. Our customers, we connect them via point-to-point. We had IPv6. Wanted to do a dual stack, decided to issue 36 for every brass, which would give us up to 1 million of drivers for every brass. Well, at the beginning, we wanted to be greedy and give out less, but then we trusted the RIPE's recommendations, followed the RIPE's recommendations, and decided to follow best practices, and decided to issue /56, delegate this. Before this, we discussed it, and we wanted to give our customers some static prefixes. This is our network. The way our network is designed, our customers can connect to via different devices. If we did this, it would appear that we would have a huge number of small prefixes go upstream, and aggregating those prefixes wouldn't really work. So this would overload hardware. This would destroy IPv6 ideology that recommends aggregating prefixes and avoid operating small prefixes. Decided to do the dynamic distribution. So phase one yielded very little, only 1.5% of sessions with dual stack. Mostly these were customers with FTTX. Customers who connected via their own routers. These are customers' routers, not operators' routers, not issued by the operators, but used by the customers. Well, on some of them, we had IPv6. They got them out of the boxes. No one adjusted these. Very few customers had IPv6 set up on their user terminals by default. Well, it turned out that we didn't get as much growth as we wanted to, but it was sufficient for our future observations for the decision making. That's why we decided we would keep on observing it. Basically, we didn't sell anything. We didn't tell anything to our customers. Why observe this? Well, I wanted to know whether there would be any problems or issues. Well, any complaints and grievances, people calling to the call center. Well, because we turned it on but it didn't really happen. We looked at traffic, we looked at how customers grow, what kind of nodes they use, what kind of equipment they use most of the time, what equipment was used, and we continued further. So we wouldn't be able to achieve a lot through this, so we need to continue. In our network, we have some equipment, GPON. There are several vendors of these GPON terminals, but one of these vendors we decided to use to allow them first to set up the configuration with the activated IPv6 on all of these devices while using one of the vendors. And this gave us this particular second step in the growth. Basically, this is what we got back in the August of 2024 when we activated IPv6 on a massive scale. At the time, we grew by 6% on number of sessions with dual stack. We expected a better growth because the devices, with these settings, we had more than 6%. Someone wasn't on the network or our picture of the situation wasn't true, so to reality. So we used one of the vendors and got only 6% growth. It's good, but not good enough. And then later we decided to act in the same fashion. We had one more vendor. It was represented on much greater scale. Well, the customer's equipment, there was much more customer's equipment of this vendor. The one that we used for the first try. Well, it was billing. Well, our regional units, they were set the task of that you need to activate this setting on the equipment. They are fully automated, but not centralized. So they activated this on their side. So this second group, the growth that started in March of this year and took about 5 months This basically gave us this level that we're having at the moment. Well, our customers base increase up to 30%. One third of our customers is using dual stack. So we have a room to grow further because there is one more vendor who is represented on a massive scale, but they are not ready to get it all implemented. Hopefully it will all be done, and then whatever we can do on the massive scale, we'll probably get it done. This was the extensive way of development. There is vendor 1, vendor 2, vendor 3. After this, we can squeeze out of it whatever we can, and what to do with the others. For whom this is not going to work, we'll think about this and study the situation to enable dual stack use.
But that's coming next, I guess. So this is to be continued, as they used to say in this very famous movie. So but it's not Back to the Future for us. It's forward to the past. Is the way to go for us. Because many believe that IPv6 is a new protocol. I mean, of course, it is newer than IPv4, but it's quite ancient, nevertheless. And as a confirmation of that, here's my conclusion. I mean, there's one more slide. Okay, I'm sorry. So in the meantime, these are the conclusions that we made so far. IPv6 support is strong enough on carrier equipment. And actually, it is enough to just turn it on. We didn't have any problems with the carrier equipment. We have different vendors with different equipment where the users get authorized, but however, it works either way. There are some differences, but they're insignificant. Billing system may have to be completed, and we actually had to do that, and it took us almost a year. So when the client suddenly starts working IPv6, they may not notice any difference, they may not even know about it, and they keep on working as usual. It's like business as usual. The clients are unable to tell the traffic from IPv6 from the traffic from IPv6. I don't remember receiving any kind of complaints from the clients that because of IPv6 something doesn't work. No, we actually initially thought that there were some problems with the new protocol, but it wasn't. I mean, it turned out to be not the new protocol. So another interesting conclusion, I mean, some unexpected conclusion that we didn't expect at the beginning is that user equipment doesn't have activated IPv6, so you have to manually turn it on, or you have to do kind of centralized efforts to enable IPv6. So as for the traffic, our observations show that 1/3 of the users generate about 50% of IPv6 traffic, meaning that each of them have half of IPv6 and half of IPv4 traffic, and that's actually not a bad outcome, meaning that half of the user traffic can easily migrate to IPv6, provided they have it. Of course, it is quite unexpected that it turned out to be FANG, Facebook, Google, Amazon, Apple. And again, Cloudflare. As Anastasia showed in her presentation, Cloudflare has even higher traffic. And actually, they say that this having more than we see, which is kind of strange, but yeah. We see only 30% of outbound, but in Uzbekistan, the C422, which is, I mean, I don't know how this discrepancy can be regulated, but it is what it is. And our users, we have our own MCDNs, and the users who have IPv6, so they come from the foreign countries, and 80% something that comes from the local CDNs, the Google, Facebook, and like that. So this is what I promised. We just, out of interest, found a very old laptop that had SXP, and we decided to, I mean, we wanted to test whether it can work on IPv6, and apparently it does. So this is a system that's more than 20 years old. We woke it up, and we kind of instructed it to work with IPv6, and it was able to do so, and it was success, meaning that this system can work with, I mean, all system can work with the kind of new protocol. So it's a new protocol, but it's not very new, as it turns out. Thank you.